Right, so I am vexed with a weird problem, which is that I am not really a fan of just like static displays of action figures and toys and things like that. I like having them in weird little dioramas and interacting with each other. The fun is playing with them, and as an adult, that's how you play with toys, is you make fun little dioramas and stuff with them. Now, I have, as I've done videos on before, I have a collection of the Godzilla 5 Point XL figures by Mezco. That is what I've chosen as like the Godzilla thing that I collect. So I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of buying every statue, every figure, every this, every that. I want to narrow it down to just a limited thing so I don't spend like every dime I have on it. Now, the Godzilla 5 XL figures are great on their own, and they're begging to be made into a diorama. They come with all of those like laser bits and shooting fingers and all of the action accessories and that sort of thing. They're begging to be made into a diorama. So that's what I want to do. I have them here on the shelf, and I want to do something a little more exciting with them. So I've got a box here. It just arrived from Hobby Link Japan. They did not pay me to advertise for them, but there we go. They're a good source I found for things that aren't on Bai. And so I guess partly unboxing here to show off what I'm getting to start with this creating a diorama for my Godzilla 5 XL figures. So let's just get this box open here. And, well, okay, first of all, of course, oh, that's nicely shrink wrapped here. Um, First of all, Rodan, Radon, what have you, to add to the Godzilla collection. So he can. There we go. Of course, I've got the three Godzilla brothers up there from Godzilla, and Bandai has made a Anguirus and Rodan. I didn't really care about the Anguirus because it's just Anguirus but cutesy looking, whereas this is like a very distinctly Godzilla version of the character. So, anyways, that's an aside. That's just the Godzilla Radon. So, what did I get else here? Well, I got these. Now, one thing that I discovered as I sort of was poking around with models and looking at diorama bits and that sort of thing is that the 5 XL figures are roughly 1/700 scale, or at least 1/700 is a scale that works with them. And it is a popular scale for military modeling in Japan. So, right here, I've got a box of ground self-defense force vehicles here. So this is where I'm going to get my little tanks and trucks and things like that to go underfoot of the Godzillas. And then, even better, ow, just smacked myself in the face with it, is a 1/700 scale Nagoya Castle. Not that I have any particular love for Nagoya Castle. I'm sure it's a very lovely castle. I've never actually been there myself. My trip to Japan back in 2009 was Tokyo, Kyoto, Nara, and the Lake Chuzenji area. But lovely castle. It was available, and it looks great. I think it'll work really well for the figures. So, oh, there we go. Just opening this up here. So we've got, looks like, yeah, the pieces are actually molded. That's nice. So the white parts are white, the green parts are green. I'm going to do some detailing, of course, some dry brushing, things like that, bring out details. And we have a base here. There we go. That is actually a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be. So we'll see if I can, hopefully I have space in there to put those in there. And we got instructions in there as well. There we go. So no instructions for putting it together. Looks like it should be pretty simple. I'm not even sure if it's snapped together. And we've also got, looks like some, we've got some pieces here. We've got some grass in there, so I can glue that down to the base. And oh, we got stickers for the water as well. So we'll see what I'll use. Because again, my goal isn't like to make Nagoya Castle. It's just to have a Japanese castle in there. But I'm gonna make this castle, and The vehicles are going to be a little more complicated because I think I have to paint those. I haven't cracked into it yet, but I do believe those come unpainted. So I'll have to figure that out. And I gotta make an actual backdrop so they're not fighting against just a white thing. That's another thing I dislike is just white shelves. Why do you have white shelves then, Corey? It's a long story. But yeah, so let's start working on this Nagoya Castle, shall we? And flash forward. So I skipped a lot of the boring painting and all that sort of stuff. A lot of little niggly bits to have to glue together here on this thing. But I did. As you saw, it was molded in the proper colors of white and green and so on. But I wanted to, you know, add some painted detail and stuff like that in there. Not that you can really see it all that well on my crappy camera. But now, so the buildings are done. Now it's just time to glue it all down to the base, which I've also painted. I pre-glued in some of the little nigglier bits there, but you can see there's the castle door right on there. And I'm just gluing in the rest, piece by piece here. And as I'm finishing this part up, of course, there's going to be little bits and pieces to still do. I want to get some some clear nail polish and paint the moat here. I was thinking about, in fact, just making that grass in there, sort of thing. Putting some flocking, or I have with my 5 XL figures, maybe you noticed, I have like a grass mat thing sort of for dioramas. Thinking about putting like cutting out some of that and putting it in here where the moat is, because it's perfectly safe to have a castle that has just land going directly up to it, right? But right now I'll keep it going with the water. I just want to make that water look a little shinier. So we'll see. I also want to get some bushes and trees, like some of the green fuzz that railway modelers use, to add some greenery in here. And I have an idea for this space that involves drilling a hole. So I may do that, I may not do that. We'll see what happens. All right, now this part is going to be a little bit touchy because this thing didn't fit perfectly when I was doing the pre testing things out here. So hopefully we can get this in here and it actually looks decent. It kind of has to snap in there. It's a little bit, yeah, I have to put a little bit of pressure on that. Just because this thing is a lot bigger than I was actually expecting it to be, which sounds weird. I knew the measurements of it, but it's different when you knowing the measurements from actually seeing it. So I am thinking I want to do something useful with this space, so that I can, it doesn't feel like it's taking quite as much space. So we'll see. I just have to, do the right guesswork to drill a hole in there and do the measurements, do the guesswork, and hope that it all works out. All right, are you going to stay in there now? Let's see. No, that didn't quite work out there. That is the problem here, is that when you get the outbuildings on and then this thing, it doesn't quite snap in perfectly. And then I've got little gobs of glue there. On there, you piece. There we go, finally. There we go. Now it's on. Huzzah. After the glue's mostly dried, right? That corner's rising up a little bit. That's okay, whatever. That part's not even really going to be seen anyways, so, because I'm planning on displaying it like that. Okay, so that part's on now. And now the big castle, which, wow, does work. Last I checked. Okay. And perfect, like a glove. On it goes. And there we go. That is Nagoya Castle, or random castle that I'm using for the exhibit. Like I said, I just got to do some little niggly, little finish up, little touch up bits here, and otherwise it's going to be perfect. And I can move on to the next step. Said finishing up the little details on this, and then getting on to the teeny tiny little military vehicles, which are very small. So, you know, just got to paint up all these and glue them together to make tanks and things. I'm glad they were, you know, didn't think to make the tanks all one piece. I got to glue those together. That's going to be great. Yeah, various tanks and trucks and vehicles and so on for the monsters to fight. Step 2. Okay. Alright, so it's an unseasonably warm day in January in Calgary. Got my Tamiya Imperial Japanese Army Green spray paint here. So let's have a go at this. One side done. Alright, so the painting worked. And now comes the stupid part, where I have to take all these little things out, and I have to glue them together. Look, I have to glue that little gun, I have to glue that onto the turret. Like, who would do this? And these guys, enjoy your model life. My butt. If I have to, like, pit road? Are you serious? I have to cut all these little things out and then glue them together and do the touch-up, paint the treads. In fact, for some of these, I'm actually going to leave on the frame so I can just spray paint, like, the wheels black, things like that, so I can at least avoid some of the work here. But, yeah, I have to figure out what belongs to what here, and then, yeah, what I need to paint. So, let's start cutting these things. Alright, and there we almost go. These last things are... there are some of these things I might not make out just out of spite. Like, like this thing. Check out, like, the self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. Gotta glue on all those little side guns to those little turrets. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna bother with that. Mainly I just want the tanks, some of the armored carriers, plenty of trucks. I got plenty of trucks here. I'm not sure what we're going to do about those wheels, because that's a little more work than I want to do. Oh, wait, my second NBC vehicle, 18, is, there we are. Oh, 21. Um, yeah, almost out of spite, there's some of these I don't want to do. Pit road, what would make my model life easier is if you molded it, first of all, in the green, so I wouldn't have to, like, spray paint it. But then you molded these as one bloody piece. Like, you got the truck as one piece. Why couldn't you do a tank as one piece? Especially if you molded it in the green. I guess that's, you want to enjoy your life, right? Or something, I suppose. So anyways, now I gotta spray paint these things black, and then I'll get to the gluing part. So, there we go. This was a nightmare. these little things. But I finally got them done. So I finally got, here's the let's just adjust that there. There's the little trucks done. Finally, spray painted green, and then I used Sharpie actually for the tires on that. You managed to get the tanks done, which was no mean feat considering they were in 4 parts. This was a nightmare. Doing these things was a nightmare. I am not doing the self-propelled anti-aircraft gun because these pieces are way too small and way too dumb, and I don't want to have to fuss with these things. So haven't done that, but I got some nice Type 87 reconnaissance tanks right there. Um, got a million of these light armored vehicles. Got these nice trucks here. And again, the tanks already showed that, and then some of these like personnel vehicles. Perfect. These are going to be great to tootle around at the feet of the 5 Point XLs. I don't mind that they look a little bit fake because that actually adds a kind of a fun like Showa era sort of vibe to it. Like these are the model tanks at the feet of the actors in the costumes. So that's kind of fun. And then I did, as I was talking about, added some finishing touches to the castle here. So I did put a little bit of gloss on the water there. Not that it really matters all that much. Got some of this fuzz, this stuff here, these dark green bushes from Woodland Scenics, meant for model railways, but also working for this. That is fine. And drilled a little hole in there. Why did I drill the hole in there? Well, that is actually for Rodan's stand. So, put that under there, and that fits perfectly in there. He says, as it struggles with it. There we go. Get in there. That in there pops in on the bottom, and I can just plug that into there, and shoop, there we go. And now we have a very elaborate stand for Rodan. Rodan to go on there. Or I suppose I can take off his standing head, put on his flight head, and not that this stand is very good for Rodan. I don't know why they didn't just give him the um, give him just like a normal like a peg stand. Oh, you're seeing the background there, my wife's sewing room. But yeah, there we go. We got a flying Rodan over top of Nagoya Castle. And so that completes most of the diorama here. But if we're going to have the diorama, we need to have a backdrop. And there we go. So I found a nice high resolution. So if you're going to print anything out, it should be like 300 DPI, thereabouts. That's sort of the minimum for something to print out well. So I found a good high resolution image of Mount Fuji, photoshopped in the zillion Planet X alien flying saucers from Invasion of the Astro Monster, and photoshopped in the Gotengo in there, so I can have a perfect version of Destroy All Monsters, right? Where it's the Zillions and who are controlling things, and Gotengo flying in for the rescue, taking them out so that it frees Godzilla and the Earth monsters, the Earth kaiju, so they can fight King Ghidorah and the extraterrestrial kaiju. That's sort of the storyline of this shelf diorama working on here. So for this, I took it to Staples, got it printed out. Took them about 4 tries to finally get it at the proper size that I had made the image at. Because I made the image for the 76 centimeters width of a billy shelf and 27 centimeters high. And so it took them a few tries to actually get it at the proper size that the image was. They did that, and then I got some of the self-adhesive backed foam core. So you can also get this at like Staples. It's like $10 a sheet, $10 Canadian a sheet, and it's just got like this sticker backing on here. You just peel that off, and then it's got adhesive on it, which makes it a whole lot easier than trying to fuss around with Mod Podge, that sort of thing. And yeah, I just upside down, and it stuck on wonderfully, beautifully. Came out looking amazing. You're not seeing quite as well how it looks on the camera here because I have a crap camera, but yeah, that's the diorama back. So now we just got to install it. So got the monsters cleared off. Got the grass here. Mod Podged that down so it actually stays put. And now let's get this thing in here. Maybe. What is this? Can't measure this exactly, but the shelf isn't all the proper way. There we go. Sorry, that kind of came loose after I Mod Podged it. Here we go. Okay, put some sticky tack on the back of it so that it actually stays up and stays put. Looking good. And put the old castle in there. Got this extra building here from the versus Hedera set, so I'll put that there. It's a little extra building there for the groundskeepers. Because remember, this is Showa era, so this castle isn't an actual castle anymore. Now it's a tourist attraction. Rodan. There we go. Ghidorah, front and center, as I'm sure he would appreciate. Right there. And flying Hedera with the buildings on the base, because I'm not quite sure what to do with these buildings. They are about the right scale, 1/700, just not quite sure what to do with them. If I'm going to put together a little city scene to go with things here. Now we've got the alien monsters here in the middle, extraterrestrials, Mecha Godzilla, Hedera, and now we can start to install the other monsters. So, King Caesar there. Godzilla is the cool kid, so he goes in the back. All the other cool kids. And Gorosaurus, Baragon, Mothra here, which is like, that's a missed opportunity. Mothra versus Hedera. Like, that actually is kind of poetic. would work out really cool. Here we go. Get Gundam in there. And Anguirus. And this guy is actually from Safari Limited. They make animal toys. But Octopus, there we go. He's got his rightful place. Bada boom, there we go. Got a display. And I can start to add some of the tanks in there. Ow. Sorry, just getting my position here right. So I got some tanks rolling in here. Fighting off guys. Little support truck in there. At least get the tanks in here. They're the ones with the courage to take on Ghidorah. And maybe Hedera too. Oh, that's the destroyed tank. Okay. Alright, so tanks are taking on Ghidorah and Hedera. I'll put more of those in over time. But there we go. We have ourselves for the most part, a diorama. And I think, let's move this camera around so you actually see things. I think, almost done. I think there are a few little things that I want to add in there, some finishing touches that would really pull this entire diorama here together. So we're almost done. but not quite. All right, so here we are finally with the finishing touches. There's Rodan with the zillions behind him there, floating over the castle, and I added in some platforms just in the back there for some of the characters in the back to stand on. Which I just took some of the leftover um, grass ground cover and leftover sticky back foam core, and just created some platforms, painted the edges of them in greens, and then glued some of this the railway grass cover, tree cover stuff um, onto there to make it look a little more like a hill. um, but adding that into the background there, and putting some of these vehicles in place, and see some explosions. So I found some of these. They're actually Gundam. Uh, it's just that there a little bit. They're actually for attaching to Gundam models. But I thought, hey, whatever. Found a store that had these with the sort of translucent orange. Painted the inside of them before I constructed them. Painted the and the smoke on the bottom there, and added those in there. Um, there's Godzilla doing his thing there, standing on a platform of his own. Gundam. But I feel like there's still one thing missing. I am getting more of these explosion effects. I actually got some ordered, some of the Tamashi ones. But so I'm going to be adding more of those over time. But I feel like there's something else that's missing. And I think I know what it is. It's Mothra! I finally got the 5-point XL Mothra figure. Ooh, that light is a little too bright. There we go. I finally got the Mothra 5-point XL figure. For a couple of reasons. Was able to find her on eBay for a price I was willing to pay. More than I would have liked to, but it was still within the range of what I could even expect to find her for, locally, if a store locally had her. And I'm reasonably sure at this point that the 5-point XL Godzilla line is done. The Godzilla against Mechagodzilla set took forever to finally come out. It was delayed by about 6 months, and haven't heard anything from Mezco since about this line. So I was thinking, okay, if it is done, then just to complete it, I should get Mothra, so then at least I have a complete set of them. And I can't really look forward to them maybe re-releasing Mothra as part of a Evera Horror of the Deep set or something like that, which would have a Godzilla, a Mothra, and an Evera in there. So I decided to take the plunge and pay out to get my favorite kaiju. That was the other reason why, is that really Mothra is my favorite kaiju, and the larval Mothra is not enough. I need the full actual Mothra in her glory, in her full moth form. And putting her on her stand, which I had actually made, I'd actually made um, a little grass thing for her stand as well that she comes with, to see if I could blend it in, but it was still getting really crowded down on the ground. So I decided I was going to suspend her from the top. So I just got a white thumbtack there and some, not quite fishing line, the sort of clear rubbery string stuff that my wife had for her crafting. And just suspending her from the top of the diorama so she's actually flying, which was challenging to do as far as balance goes. I couldn't put the wings exactly the way I wanted them because it would just off balance her, and so that's the best I could do right there. Which also means I'm not enthusiastic about trying to do this with like having Ghidorah flying or having Rodan flying. They can stay the way they are because I don't want to have to fuss with this stuff again. But there's Mothra, finally added to my sort of idealized destroy all monsters diorama. Now, of course, Mothra does come with the box with the Shobijin, but they don't have a place in my diorama, so we just go up, and they're actually, there's my dinosaurs and things, and they're actually on the top up there. So they're on the roof of, or the top of my bookcase, right up there. Because they don't really have a, they're not 1/700 scale, so they're like life size. So, anyways, there we go. That is it complete. As complete as it is right now, like I said, I'm getting more explosion effects. Those will come over time, but those are relatively minor additions. If they ever make any more of these sets, I guess I'll find places for the monsters that they make for them. But as it is, this is my idealized destroy all monsters Showa era Godzilla shelf diorama. Taking these figures and not just displaying them, just as my toy conquests, but actually doing something fun with them, creating a lively little scene. If there was any one other thing I would do to this right now, it would be to put some lighting up here so that we get some nice just objective lighting, and actually dress that lighting up like it was a lighting rig, so that this was like Toho Studios in the '60s filming the a scene with all the monsters in it. But there we go. That's it. It's done. It's effectively done. So, hooray! Thank you for joining me on this adventure with making a shelf diorama for my Mezco 5-point XL Godzilla figures.